Hey, what's up with the internet? I'm back this time with a build vid on Atlas. If you've been living under a rock recently, there's been a big suite of changes to exalted weapons and pseudo-exalted abilities which function as weapons. In general, they are a very large suite of buffs for basically everyone in the cast that has those, with a slight exception of Nuke Gara getting a side grid. But yeah, I do want to do a whole video on that at some point soon, just like in aggregate. But first things first, I want to highlight Atlas, because Atlas here in particular has definitely shot up the tier list, in my opinion, due to these changes. He got the biggest buff out of them all, because in addition to the general exalted changes, he also got a big buff to his pseudo-exalted landslide ability, and or fist, I don't know, it's also a weapon, you know how it is. And it's a significant change. He now does way more damage, and it spreads way more status, and it's just very effective now that he's he's always been a very tanky boy, but he just didn't really do anything before. And now he's a tanky boy that's like a walking nuke, which is very effective as it turns out. So there's a lot of reasons to pick him now, actually. I like use him for Netra cells, because he's actually quite good at it. And I'll use him into like new content or survivals or something, because he also has an ore gaze augment, which scans enemies and makes them drop more loot, which is quite nice. And he's just in general a tanky, walky boy, doesn't need weapons, so he's good at like EDA and circuit and all that shit, so he's very good. It's kind of crazy. Shot up from shit tier to like awesome tier in my book. So without further ado, let's get into the kit explanation. The star of the show here is his first ability, Landslide. This, as you can see, has like a combo meter thing in the center of the screen. That's part of the new pseudo-exalted changes. And it does way less damage when that combo is not maxed out at 12. Indeed, it gives as much damage as it shows here, so I'm doing 11 times more damage now. And as you can see, that was significantly more effective than when I first did it. Landslide has a limited range. It goes from like about the end of these stairs here, and you cannot modify that with range, which is a little bit unfortunate. However, it also, the impact of it has a very large explosion in which it deals all the AoE, and it's kind of invisible, but that is modifiable with range, and indeed you want a very large range, so then a bunch of people can die instantly. It's quite good. So new Landslide, very good. Surprise, surprise, very important. Second ability is this, called Tectonics. It's useless, don't use it. I recommend helmeting over it. His third ability is Petrify. This one is his only other useful ability, really. Well, its fourth is a little bit useful. As you can see, it CCs them, solidifies them, and when a solidified enemy dies, it also drops Rubble, which is this little guy here on the ground. If I had a pet with vacuum on right now, it would pick up the Rubble for me, and every enemy drops 50 when they are killed while petrified. And as you see in the bottom right, what it does is it increases your armor up to a cap of 1500. And it slowly drains over time if you're not getting any. It's not that slow, but it's reasonably slow. And it does help you a lot with survivability, but honestly, part of the reason you want to use it is just for the Rubble Heap augment we'll get into. You want to get over 1400 for that to actually activate, and keep it above there for it to continue being good. But also it's good, it's petrifies enemies at CC, why not? And his final ability is Rumblers. There's an augment for this where you can get like Overguard and become a Rumbler instead of putting these guys out, but it's terrible, so don't use it. As you can see, these guys are not very good offensively, but when I spawned them, they just made all these guys petrified too, and they also are good meat shields, actually. They will draw fire for you. So if you're ever like under seriously heavy fire and you're like, oh Jesus, it's not bad to just pop these guys out, and they'll soak up some aggro for you big time. They have their uses, and also, notably, if you destroy them, whether it be because they died or just because you press 4 there, they drop their own little rubble things, and whee, extra rubble for me. Love it. So it's actually useful, unlike his 2. You could helmet it off and put Precision Intensify there instead, but I don't think that's a great idea, given you want to also buff your 1s, damage with strength, so I would recommend not doing that. And that explains his kit. Let's go into the build considerations, why don't we? Before we get into anything real quick, I do need to note that Dexterity Arcanes are kind of a big deal for this shit. You get plus 7/5 combo duration for each one for a total of 15 if you're using both. Since your default is 10 seconds for pseudo-exalted, this puts you up to a healthy 25 seconds, which makes it much, much nicer. You could also use Grimoire here for like extra auger shit and energy regen if you want, but that doesn't really matter. And also, I've said it before, I'll say it again, but rakta dagger is really good. This is for a different reason. Like with the Lavos vid, you were killing people with it with the viral build. This is great for killing people, but with Rumbler guy here, Atlas, you specifically want a utility build, just a bunch of attack speed and Gleaming Blight for some extra energy. and just melee influence and shit, so you can get extra shields. Yes, from the radiation status, which does indeed heal into overshields, which is quite nice. So generally, and also of course the sheer raw mobility while sticking to the ground, which makes us passive, which gives you prime sure-footed effect while you're on the ground, keep in effect, which is very good to have. Instead of just jumping around, in which case your passive will be disabled, it's better to keep to the ground and kill people like this. The page I just showed you does not kill people good. It's purely used for getting around quickly, giving myself energy and shields. So keep that in mind. Now, before we get into the mod pages, let's talk about the archon shards real quick. Of course, these guys are just standard. You definitely want some perp skirp. I'm getting a 150% extra crit damage. If you're using a exalted melee weapon or pseudo-exalted melee, and you indeed want crit, then yep, this is pretty auto-include, at least one of these. The more the merrier, of course, you'll get more damage with more. But, you know, at this point, I feel like obviously you get like sort of pseudo-diminishing returns, not actually diminishing returns, but it just works less effectively the more you stack it, of course. That's just kind of like how everything works. But yeah, just having 2 of these really helps your damage. 3 would be better for, you know, do what you want. It's to taste, really. Most of these are to taste. Next is strength mod. Honestly, originally I had a energy on spawn thing here and was using power drift, and I was like, wait, derp, I can literally just use prep and use an archon shard here instead, and I get 55% more starting energy for absolutely no cost. And I would rather use a red than a yellow anyway, because I'm hurting on yellows. And ultimately I wound up keeping this. This puts you almost to cap on the build I have for Orgaze, for getting 100% loot drops. And it's generally useful because if you're using an overextended build, then your strength isn't going to wind up being that high anyway, probably. So this would be helpful to give you extra strength on that as well. So it's good to have. Of course, it's to taste as well. And these are also to taste. I have effectiveness on energy orbs. This is effectively like half an energize. I found it to be usually, and it becomes especially effective if you're using Orgaze because enemies will drop more orbs, so that's helpful. The last thing you want to do on Atlas is to run out of energy, so this just helps grease the wheels. I'm about it. If like he's really tanky and he does explodies in the giant AoE, so what you really want to have happen is to not run out of energy usually. As long as you're not like running into level cap, that's the only thing you can really be concerned about. So I think it's good to have. And the last one here is cast speed. This, just so you know, does not increase the speed of your landslide. It also, attack speed also will not do that. If you go into the mod page, you'll see that you cannot equip Fury or anything, which makes it pretty clear. Attack speed does not affect his one. However, and the same thing with casting speed, however, you will be using his extra cast speed for Orgaze quite a lot, or Petrify, sorry. Petrify, because you're going to want to get that armor up pretty much every time. It's helpful to use, like, you can't cancel it with your 1, so you have to wait for the animation to finish. And also, if you ever want to use your 4, this has a very long cast time if you do not use cast speed. But if you do, it's not that bad. And I just find it greases the wheels all the time. I'm about it. You do you. Next up, let's go to the mod pages finally. Now, the first one here, don't look at this. I was just using it to demonstrate tectonics. In general, I recommend using Nourish for the most part. Nourish is really good. It gives you all the things you want, basically. You want more energy. Great, wonderful. You want viral procs. Great. You want more damage because the viral additional. Great, wonderful. Nourish gives you all those things. It's handy dandy and works on everything. I mean, obviously it's going to be way better than rolling a fucking rocket, people. In general, you definitely want as max range as you can get. I don't go all the way to 280% because the very last 15% only gives you like 0.6 AoE on your landslide here. Technically like 0.2 if you get to the third punch, which multiplies all that shit. But you usually don't get more than... The second punch itself is rare. I almost never get the third punch, you know? So usually all the enemies die in an AoE around you and you can't really get a second punch. Much less a third. Certainly not a third, but I mean, it can happen. I don't know. But yeah, in general, you want really large range because that's just going to make this huge. And a huge, gigantic, exploding, and kill everyone radius is quite nice. Being a walking nuke is pretty good, as it turns out. And of course, this is an Umbral build. The other 3 slots, basically wasting 6 immediately just for... well, not wasting, obviously, but you're using 6 immediately just for the range and then your Umbrals. And then it's being this is a generic Umbral build, so of course I want adaptation as well. And the final guy here is Rubble Heap. Rubble Heap is super good, I find. I mean, some people, they find the above 1400 conditional to be too much of a hassle, but I mean, you kind of want to do that anyway, just for the armor. And, like, especially if you're using, like, Orgaze or something, because you literally need to constantly be, hitting people with your 3 to get the shit to work, and you'll just be getting Rubble automatically for that. So I'm a big fan of Rubble Heap because, I mean, look what it does. It gives you 2 times damage, it makes your landslide travel faster, and it costs literally no fucking energy. It's not that hard to maintain it above 1400 rubble, and I've tested it in more than just like conjunction survival steel path shit, so you know, even in like multiplayer it's not that hard. I find it works quite well, and you're gonna want the armor anyway, so I'm a big fan. And usually whenever I go without this, it just like feels bad and I don't like it at all. I try, basically I always try to slot this in. Like with my loot maxing build, I tried not to, but then I was like, I really need to find room for it. So we'll get to that in a second. Yeah, I will say though, this is a terrible build, don't use it. I tried to like make him work for level cap, it kind of works, but you have to sweat to survive. And I would just pick a different frame at that point. I use Terrify to get their armor off too, but I wouldn't do that. But the reason I show this is because this is the one I'm not using Rubble Heap on, which is specifically because it makes it cost no energy. It also means you're not regenerating any augur shields, which will actually negatively impact your survivability if you really need like to not instantly die the moment someone touches you. Having shields will ensure that happens, whereas having no shields will ensure that does not happen, or at least it leaves you open to that happening. But in general, he's a very, very tanky boy. If you're not taking him to level cap, that's a completely fringe concern, and I highly recommend just running Rubble Heap anyway. So this is the one like non-Umbral build I have. I find that using just Aegis plus adaptation plus redirection will keep you extremely tanky. This is true on most frames, but especially ones that have a healthy shield like Atlas does here. A very healthy 1555 base, and if you're using the rakta Dark Dagger, you'll have even more. So you'll be cruising. Yeah, I find this is, if you don't want to be wasting a bunch of Umbral shit on your particular Atlas, then this is a very good way of doing it. And this is even overkill. You don't even need the Energize. You could do just fine with like an Arcane Fury or something, but this is just to make sure it just works. It just works. This is a great way of getting things done. I will say I like Prep, but you can do whatever you want here. I'm not using Prime Sure Footage here because of his passive, which makes it so that you are immune to knockdown while on the ground. So Prime Sure Footage would do literally nothing when I'm on the ground, and I try to stay on the ground because Landslide and rakta Dark Dagger allows you to do that, which is quite nice. Of course, enemy radar, I just really like enemy radar. In fact, actually, if you went for corrosive projection and you were against max armor enemies, and they were not in any way reduced by other people's corrosive projections or something like that, corrosive projection would actually give you more damage than Arcane Fury would. Arcane Fury gives you plus 180% melee damage, which, if you are already using Prime Pressure Point, which you probably should be, will equate to only like an extra 2/3 damage, which is a lot. It's like almost double, 2/3 instead of 2, well, 1 plus 1, I guess. It's 1.6x times 1.67x extra damage, basically. But that is actually less than if you had just like used corrosive projection, like I was saying. But even still, like, I find enemies just die instantly anyway for the most part, so I'd rather have more enemy radar. But that's up to you. Anyway, point is, the Umbral works perfectly for him. He's a great frame for that. He's got tons of health. He's got tons of armor. Like I was saying, I don't know if I said this or not. I did a couple takes. Gladiator mods would also be great. Almost feels perfect for him, actually, because it gives you armor, and it also gives you health, and it gives you mini blood rush effect. So that's also a perfectly viable option to put on here. I don't put that on any of these builds, though, because I just feel like there's better things to be doing. I don't know. It's up to you, though. Another great option. And so those are the main two like basic ones I would use. Like, just pick your poison, Umbral versus shield. With Nourish, these are great. Oh, also, yeah, I should go over the arcanes a little bit. For the Umbral one, the battery works great. You are allowed to just drop flow if you're using battery. Although you could also use flow. If you punch in flow, then you will have just really great energy economy. And it'll get up to like 1,300. It's really nice. But I would rather have extra range stuff. Anyway, this is really nice in general, but honestly, seeing as I use them for like use cases, I probably wouldn't use these as much. Like, I would probably use my Breach Surge build instead for like EDA and Circuit and stuff, because in those, you want to be defending things. And if you're defending things, then Breach Surge is helpful. And also the Breach Surge particles sometimes just actually go off and kill someone outside the AoE you would normally be killing people in, which is even more effective than just doing more damage, because who cares if you're doing more damage if you're just killing all those guys anyway. It's better to have slightly exacerbated AoE. That being said, it's pretty rare that you will actually get Breach Surge particles to kill people, because usually the particles don't have anyone to find because you already killed everyone, or I don't know. It's pretty rare, but it does happen, and I'll point it out if it does, because I think I'll be using this during the demo part, because it's the most fun way to do it. Remember, of course, you can cancel Breach Surge with any sort of ability if it's helmet done. So you can just do Breach Surge, you just do like a Surge Punch or a Surge Gaze. It's pretty handy, it's pretty nice. This build is almost the same as the Umbral build. I'm just swapping out Adaptation for Fleeting Expertise. You have a wonderful energy economy, and also because I don't need Adaptation because I'm Breach Surging the shit out of people so they're blinded. And you also don't need Duration either, because in this one, in all the Nourish ones, it's nice to have because, you know, you don't want to constantly be recasting Nourish. But with the Breach Surge, doesn't really matter. Who cares about the Rumbler duration? Who cares about the CC duration? These are still healthy CC durations, honestly. So I find that you just treat duration as a dump stat in this one. So I think that's great for defending things in general usage. But when it's like new content or I'm picking a survival or something, I'm going for my loot maxing build. This is all about getting Orgaze to 100% or near 100%, just getting as much loot as you can. This makes a ton of sacrifices. This will not be nearly as effective in general. The range is much lower. I'm at whopping, all I could fit was stretch basically. I tried putting it Augur Reach over Rubble Heap, but I just can't. I love Rubble Heap, I just can't. Especially when Landslide costs no energy and we're rocking 45% efficiency on this build. It makes it even more effective here. So that also, yeah, your energy economy, your range, and your survivability all take a hit on this build. Is basically what I'm getting at. But we get a bunch more strength, and that also helps us get more Nourish energy gen and more damage from this one. But the main point, yeah, like I was saying, I mean, we also have to waste a whole mod slot on Orgaze. But the main point is to get this up to 100%, so then you can just run around, you know, petrifying people and killing them over and over and over, and you'll get a ton of loot. And you'll get Codex scans while you're at it. Worth noting, this is also his helmet ability, though, so you can Orgaze on literally any frame. But, of course, it comes with him, so, you know, that's kind of why we're doing that here, and you don't have to, like, waste a helmet slot on other frames. You know. Point is, yeah, it's actually quite nice. And he's like a walking tanky nuke, so I mean it still works well with this. Like it's still quite effective. I did have to use Steel Charge to make shit fit, but obviously you could change that. So yeah, that's quite good. Bellicose is good here. You could probably use like Blessing here instead. I've seen that be done. But I don't need that much health. I'm just trying to get Orgaze maxed out. I don't want to be like stacking orbs all day. Also worth noting, yeah, Orgaze does drop more orbs when you're trying to, you know, when it's has a higher percentage. So you'll get some good, you know, the energy economy is actually not that bad because you'll get a stronger Nourish and you get more orbs from Orgaze. So it's fine, especially when you put like Flow in there. I mean, actually, yeah, I would like to put in Battery here as well for like a really nice energy like pool. But yeah, I need all this strength in order to get Orgaze maxed out. Or near max, actually. This only goes up to once this is maxed, it goes to 395 with the Archon shard I have, but it's close enough. Close enough. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, like I'm saying, don't use this one because level cap is shit. I would recommend just picking a different frame at that point. But for everyone else, yeah, just run into your EDAs and circuits with the Umbral Breach one, or Loot Max with this one, or if you just want a general purpose, works really well build, you could reach for either one of these. So those are the ones I like, in my opinion. I'll do the Breach one during the demo, and of course we gotta check out the Landslide Fists. I usually go with this particular mod page. It's these 6 mods are pretty set in stone if you're using Influence, I'd say. And I'm a big fan of Spring Loaded Blade. Just having more range is really good. These two together is +5 range total, and it does indeed work. I've tested. And that's really good, especially for the loot maxing build, because these are not modified by range, they're just flat no matter what. And so for a build that can only fit in stretch, these are very, very helpful. This mod right here is definitely a flex slot. There's a lot of different things you could put here, like Galvanized Elementalist, Voltaic Strike, Organ Shatter, combo duration mods, you know, whatever tickles your fancy. It's really to taste. I just put this because, you know, whatever seemed like a good pick to me. And of course you could use Viral Elect. If you're not using Nourish, you could just replace these 2 slots with a good old Viral. But I found that, like, I'm gonna use this build even with Breach Surge because I just find it works just fun, and I don't want to be constantly swapping mod pages every time I'm like not using Nourish or whatever. So yep, those are the builds, and that's it. Okay, I think that's it. Oh, also I guess I'll talk about the school. Of course, Naramon will make it easy to maintain your combo meter, but seeing as it's so easy to get back up and it rarely drops, you have 25 seconds duration. I find it's better to have zenurik so you can just make sure your energy economy is on fleek at all times. course, if you're doing like a Void Cascade, Madurai is what you need there, but in general, yeah, I'm more of a zenurik fan on this particular one. Alright, I think that about does it for the explaining shit part. Let's go do the demo part. Alrighty, let's get into it. And I guess I'll punch these guys a little bit just so they'll stop annoying me and to build my combo up a little bit. And then we'll get into things proper. Now, at first you want to build up your rubble so you can get the, well, both the armor and for Rubble Heap augment to be on fleek. Now, this is especially easy in like Circulus survivals when you're just doing it solo and shit, but I mean, I found this in general is not that hard to stack up. A solid 50 from each enemy, like even if you're doing like multiplayer or whatever, you'll be good to go. Ooh, we get the big room. Nice. And then once you get it to on 50, unless you're using the Orgades build, you can kind of just stop using that and just stick to Breach Surge on people. Kind of hoping these guys will funnel in soon. I like it when they all spawn in the big room. But yeah, you just use Rakta Dark Dagger to run around and occasionally do the little combo. Make sure to cancel Breach Surge with a punch. And oh, see, look how cruising I am too. I found that, yeah, when I was trying to like just jump around at people, it was not a great option compared to Raktaing people. For a bunch of reasons. One, it like disables your passive when you're in the air and you're prone to knockdown. Two, like a lot of times you have to like time it. It's weird with my little macro. You do not have to time any of this shit. I just have to hold down my slide attack macro, and he's good to go. But if you were using just jumping and shit, then oh yeah, see, research occasions killing people. Then you have to like time it because you have to like wait for his like see this animation, the punch animation. Like you can't cancel that with anything. So you have to like time a bullet jump after that if you're using it that way. But I don't have to do that anymore, and I'll stay close to the ground just by Raktaing people. It is pretty convenient. Also, I should probably stop stoning people because I'm starting to lose a little bit of energy. But and also I found that, yeah, because of that, sometimes I wouldn't. I just sort of walk at people while like trying to like mash the button. Yeah, see, like that. And I'd be like doing this. Well, actually, that was pretty long range. But yeah, sometimes I'd wind up just sort of like walking at someone because I thought I was in range, but I was not. Whereas that's not nearly as effective as just, you know, Raktaing at people, slide attacking. So, generally speaking, I highly recommend. I mean, I'm sorry, console players. I still don't know why the devs haven't made this like an actual feature of the game. It'd be really nice, but with auto melee, if they had like auto slide attack as an actual full featured part of the game. But you know, it is what it is, I suppose. And it's pretty fucking good, as you can see. Like I was saying, the other builds work just fine. In fact, they're a little bit more fire and forget. This one does not have adaptation on it, so you're not nearly as tanky. Or God forbid, like fucking Aegis or whatever the fuck. There's lots of things you can do. Atlas is a very flexible frame. But this is the way I like it. And as you can see, yeah, see, Breach Surge occasionally kills a person too. And he's just like an absolute walking nuke now. Yeah, it's very fun. And he do not die easy, and he can give you extra loot, and he's great in EDAs and shit, because he has a bunch of, well, not a bunch of, he has one particular ability that is really good and will kill everyone. You don't need weapons, which is very helpful in those game modes, because you can't pick your weapons outside of a small selection. And I'm just in the habit of using the rock every time, just because I'm used to doing the LOOTMAXXIng build. And for that, you do want to be orgazing everyone all the time, because that's the condition you need to actually get the loot drop. But yeah, I should stop it, because I'm starting to run a little bit low on energy. See what I'm saying? I do have... Creature's kill. I do have a little bit extra energy than some might, because of my my one Arcane shard I use for energy orb effectiveness. So if it weren't for that, I'd have to be a little bit more careful in my energy uses. Oh, Angst is already dead. I don't know what happened, but Angst is already dead. That worked out nicely. And yeah, you can also, if you're getting a little bit too much heat, you can always throw down a Rumbler. They will absorb some of the aggro for you. Although, notably, probably don't do that in the Netrocells, because I've had it happen where they fucking wander out of the AoE and like camp outside the circle, and all the spawns stop going inside the circle, and they just are attacking your Rumblers. And I was like, God damn it, Rumblers. But anyway, yeah. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. What more is there to say? Maybe we should get out of this room and, I don't know, find some other guys to kill. I missed him. I was mashing one ineffectively. But yeah, he's like a walking Archititron nuke that doesn't need an Archititron, so I mean, it's not quite as powerful, but like it has the same like enemy clearing effect. Like everyone just fucking dies, as you can see. And he's just good. What can I say? He's just good. He's just good. I don't think there's like, I don't think there's like a bunch of arcanes that would be really good on him. Like I'm not sure how much like work influence is putting in here, honestly. Like sometimes it doesn't seem like it's doing much, but I mean it's giving you Archon stretch at the very least, and it seems better than the other options. I tried Vortex at one point. That seemed to not really be doing anything either. I don't know, it's not great. Alright, oh fucking ghost, I hate why is this a move? Why is it a move? Someone explain that to me. Why did the devs design that? It's so annoying. Anyway, whatever. Sometimes you can kill those guys really fast, but sometimes one of them just does a fucking move, and you can't. What the? This guy won't die. All right, whatever. Fuck this. I'm not here for the Thorax Plasma. I'm out of here. Let's get to extraction super fast with the Rakta Dark Dagger. Again, this is with an attack speed build, and then you go careening off here. Whee! That's a fun way of doing it. All right, GG. Hopefully you enjoyed the build. There's other ways you can build him. I have like a prototype of my LOOTMAXXING build, which is like 273% strength and no Umbral. It's in my Discord somewhere. Feel free to join the Discord. We hang out there. We talk about new updates. It's fun. If you want to hear, you know, my take on new things way before I put a video out, then yeah, it's the place. Otherwise, like, subscribe, put a comment out. I don't care if it's hateful or not. I thrive on that shit. And without further ado, see ya, bye.